She laughed in my face and said I wasn't good enough for her son. Right there, in front of everyone. And he, my own husband, didn't defend me. I froze, humiliated, burning inside. Every eye in that hall was on me, and for a second I felt small, invisible. But then something clicked. I wasn't going to let anyone disrespect me, not in my wedding, not ever. The real question is, how do you strike back when the people who should love you most betray you? Before that day, my life felt like it was finally falling into place. I had a career I loved, friends who lifted me up, and a fiancé I thought would stand by me no matter what. Everyone told me I was lucky, that I had it all. But luck can be deceiving. I knew my relationship with his family was complicated. They were polite enough on the surface, but there was always this underlying tension, little comments that cut deeper than anyone would notice. I brushed them off at first, thinking love would smooth over everything. But as the wedding day approached, I could feel it, a storm brewing just beneath the glittering decorations, a storm that I wasn't sure I was ready for. I tried to focus on the excitement, the celebration, imagining myself walking down the aisle, everyone smiling, the music swelling. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was about to go horribly wrong. And that feeling, it was nothing compared to what actually happened when I finally faced them. The morning of my wedding should have been full of excitement, but I could feel the tension the moment I stepped into the hall. My mother-in-law, her eyes were sharp, cold, and full of something I couldn't ignore, disgust. I knew why. She had never wanted a black daughter-in-law, and she wasn't hiding it. Every glance, every sigh, every whispered comment made it clear I didn't belong in her perfect white family. At first, I tried to brush it off. People say weddings are stressful. Maybe that's true. But when she made little remarks about how different I was, about how I didn't fit in, I could feel the sting. And everyone around seemed to laugh politely as if my humiliation was entertainment. I felt the heat rise in my chest and my hands tremble. By the time the ceremony began, I could feel the full weight of their judgment. She stood there, near the front, her gaze locked on me like I was an intruder. And him, my fiancé, he didn't say a word. I thought maybe he would defend me, maybe remind his mother that I was the woman he loved. But he didn't, not a word. In that moment, I realized I was completely alone. Then she spoke, loud enough for the nearest guests to hear. I never wanted a black woman in this family. The words cut through me like ice. My chest burned, my hands shook, and I felt small, invisible, cornered. She leaned closer and whispered again. He's always been mine. You'll never belong here. I felt the anger rise, hot and sharp, but also a strange clarity. I could let them win. I could shrink back, hide, disappear quietly. But I wasn't going to. Not in my wedding, not ever. I knew, right then, that this humiliation would become their nightmare. They had underestimated me, dismissed me, and tried to erase me from my own life. And that was about to change. The hall went silent, thick with tension, every eye on me, waiting to see what I would do. And in that moment, I made my choice. I was going to take control. I was going to show them exactly who I was, and exactly what they had just provoked. By the time the ceremony reached its peak, I could barely breathe. My mother-in-law's glare burned into me like fire, and every whispered comment from her allies was a fresh knife twisting in my chest. My own husband, my supposed protector, stood frozen, silent, as if my pain didn't exist. I felt completely exposed, humiliated in front of everyone I loved, everyone I had counted on to witness this moment. Then she stepped closer, her voice dripping with malice. You'll never belong here. You're just a reminder of what we can't accept. The words hit harder than anything I had ever felt. My legs trembled, my hands clenched into fists, and the world around me seemed to shrink until all I could see was her face, full of arrogance and hatred. For a moment I froze, the humiliation and betrayal threatening to swallow me whole. But then something inside me snapped. I remembered every whispered insult, every dismissive glance, every cruel assumption she had made about me because of the color of my skin. I realized something vital. I didn't need her approval. I didn't need anyone's permission to exist, to shine, to reclaim my dignity. And in that moment, I decided I wouldn't be small. I wouldn't disappear quietly. I wouldn't beg for respect from people who had spent my whole life trying to deny me mine. I took a deep breath, lifted my chin, and let the silence of the hall settle around me. Every eye was on me now. Every heartbeat thundered like a drum in my ears. Then, with calm precision, I turned on my heel. I walked out of that hall, not running, not in panic, but with fire in my steps, power in my stance, and the promise of revenge already simmering inside me. Their laughter, their gasps, their disbelief, all of it followed me out. But I didn't care. I had made my choice. And the question hung in the air behind me. What happens when the person they tried to humiliate refuses to be small? I didn't just leave that wedding, I walked out in a way they would never forget. The private jet waiting outside wasn't just about luxury. It was my statement. Every person who had laughed at me, every whisper that tried to shrink me, every glance meant to make me feel invisible, they saw me rise above it all. I had taken the humiliation, the betrayal, and the prejudice, and turned it into my power. That moment made me realize something bigger than revenge. It wasn't just about one mother-in-law or one wedding. It was about all the times people like me are told we don't belong, that we're less, that our love or our presence is unacceptable. Walking away wasn't just a choice, it was a declaration. I am visible. I am worthy. And I refuse to be erased. This changed me. I became stronger, clearer, more certain of who I am. I no longer needed approval from anyone who judged me based on my skin. I had faced betrayal, humiliation, and prejudice, and I chose myself over all of it. That choice became my ultimate revenge, not through anger or harm, but by reclaiming my dignity and my life on my own terms. I want anyone listening to feel that power too. To know that prejudice, discrimination, or hate can never define you unless you allow it. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away, take your worth into your own hands, and make the world see you exactly as you are. So I ask you, the next time someone tries to tell you that you don't belong because of your skin, your love, or your dreams, what will you do? Will you shrink? Or will you rise unstoppable, undeniable, and unapologetically yourself?